Good evening. I would like to call this meeting of the regular Board of Education meeting for April 24th to order. And if we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I am filling in for President Green this evening. And Mr. Richards, if you can call the roll, please.
Ms. Birkmeyer,
Here.
Mr. Green,
Excused.
Mr. Richards is here. Mr. Moses. Here. Mr. Daru. Mr. Vinatelli
Mr. Vendatelli is excused.
and Ms. Knox.
Here. Okay, we will start with our student the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second,
I will second.
do we need to do a roll for that? No, okay. All in favor of approving the agenda? Aye. And we will move on to our Student Congress update with Ms. Yarrow.
Good evening. We met on April 17th for the final meeting of the school year. Superintendent Jankowski was our special guest and he answered all of our questions. Before I share a brief update from the buildings on behalf of student council from all schools in the district, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Superintendent Jankowski for granting us permission to hold our monthly student council building representative meetings. Your support and encouragement mean the world to us. By allowing us to convene regularly, you have provided us with a platform to engage in service projects, meet with district leadership, and learn more about the aspirations of our fellow students. This opportunity not only enhances our leadership skills, but also fosters a sense of responsibility and belonging among us. Your unwavering support for student involvement and engagement speaks volumes about your commitment to nurturing the potential of every student. By valuing our input and entrusting us with this responsibility, you empower us to make meaningful contributions to our school community and beyond. Once again, we express our deepest appreciation for your support and understanding. Your beliefs in our abilities inspires us to strive for excellence and to make a difference in the world around us. With that, I just want to thank the board for every effort you've taken to communicate with me and laugh with me and joke with me. Love that so much. And thank you, Mrs. Laura Gonzalez, for all your meetings and how much effort you put in for us. And thank you to the student council advisors at the high school, Ms. Kitchens and Ms. Koch, for helping me with whatever I needed to be helped with this year. I have the following building updates to share with you this evening. At Lighthouse, the 5th grade students took a field trip to Middle School South to visit the Makerspace classroom with Mrs. Sheridan, and each student was able to create something during the visit. At Lottie, April 22nd, the students enjoyed a Raising Reptiles assembly. At Great Oaks, for the month of April, the entire school is partaking in ways to celebrate and honor students of military parents. At McCants, a book fair was held last week. 2nd grade students will have guest readers every day for March, and the 5th grade students will be going on a field trip to the SC4 to participate in the Challenger mission. At Ashley, student council members are writing letters of encouragement to 3rd grade students who will be taking the M-STEP test. At Neldred, students are taking the M-STEP test. At Middle School South, The students celebrated the eclipse earlier this month with a party, and students were able to enjoy moon pies and Milky Way candy bars. And April 23rd, the staff and students celebrated Bus Driver Appreciation Day. At Middle School North, the eyeglass drive for the Lions Club has ended with 525 pairs of glasses donated. Leadership Camp for incoming 7th and 8th graders is July 10th through 12th, and both middle schools have trips to Cedar Point and DC planned. At the high school, prom is May 11th, and senior end of the year activities will be starting soon.
Thank you, Ms. Yarrow. Now we have a DECA state champion update from Mr. Yano.
Hey, good evening, Board and Superintendent Jankowski. I'm Jacob Yono. I'm the advisor of our DECA chapter at the high school. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. So last month, 35 of our chapter's 70-plus members, along with over 8,000 students from around the state, attended the Michigan DECA State Career Development Conference, known as STATES, for a chance to compete for a state championship. Joining me tonight are 6 members of our chapter that I'd like to recognize for their outstanding achievements at this year's competition. Of our 35 competitors, 5 students were named state champions. 3 students were state finalists. 1 of our students received the top score in their role play of over 50 competitors, and 1 student received the top score in their exam in their event with over 50 competitors. Additionally, our chapter was awarded 3 awards with distinction. Tonight, I'd like to recognize each of the students for their achievements individually and in front of their guest. A few of the students were not able to attend tonight because of their busy schedule, so I'll begin by recognizing them first. Seniors Carmela Townsend and Sydney Paschal received the top score in their event for their presentation in business ethics. Senior Alexa Hammerly received the top role play score in her event, Quick Serve Restaurant Management. And Senior Ryan Murray was named a state finalist in Restaurant and Food Service Management. Moving to the students who are with us tonight, beginning with freshman Vivan Jain. Vivan was a state finalist in Principles of Marketing and received a medal for having the top comprehensive exam score in his event. Vivan, along with a few others, was also accepted to the Elevate Academy at Nationals, which is a rigorous hands-on learning program that's designed to kind of empower DECA members to provide effective leadership through goal setting, consensus building, and project implementations within their own local chapter. So congratulations, Vivan. Next is junior Kimberly Muja, who was named a state finalist in Quick Serve Restaurant Management. Congratulations, Kimberly. Next are juniors Lily Foster, Faith Young, and sophomore McKenna Kruper, who were named state champions in the leadership and teamwork event, and who were also accepted to the Elevate Academy at Nationals. Congratulations. And lastly, our seniors Caitlin Barbieri and Nolan Conley, who are named state champions in sports and entertainment marketing, team decision-making. Nolan and Caitlin were both also accepted to the Aspire Academy at Nationals. So congratulations, Caitlin and Nolan. And lastly, I'd just like to note 3 of our chapter awards that we received. In DECA's membership and chapter campaigns, we received Thrive Level achievements for our work in providing all of our chapter members with opportunities to share with their school and community what DECA is all about and how their chapter is making a positive impact on its members and community. And additionally, we received a Gimme 5 membership campaign award for our work in ensuring the continued growth of DECA in our local chapters. So I'm proud to report that this year was the most successful year for our chapter at the state competition in our long storied history. And I'm incredibly proud of these students for their achievements. Next stop for the qualifiers is going to be the International Career Development Conference our nationals, which we'll set off to this Friday in Anaheim, which I believe is you'll be approving here in a little bit. So I'd like to again congratulate these students and all of our competitors on their outstanding achievements this year. And I want to thank you for the work that you do to continue to advance CTE and business education in our school district. So congratulations. And if you wouldn't mind, if we can grab a photo with you.
Thank you, Mr. Yono, and congratulations again to DECA. You guys are doing a fantastic job making us very proud here at Anchor Bay. We are moving on to the superintendent's update with Mr. Jankowski.
Hey, just wanted to run everybody through where we're at with the bond, including, we'll start with the construction updates. As you can see, and I meant to try and grab a more updated picture than this. Restaurant, this is the restaurant and the auto shop addition. They now have about 90% of the facade complete. So if you go by there now, what you can see is partially done. They only have the backside where just over the auto shop doors. They just have to complete that area, and then the entire facade will be complete. Then we have, let's see if this will advance. This is inside the auto shop area. So the picture on the left is looking out to the auto shop bay doors. We still have concrete to be poured for the floors. That will be sometime in the next 4 weeks. And then the hallway that attaches it to the high school is what you see on the right. This is inside looking the other way from the auto shop area into the back hallway. This is the welding area. You can see drywall is now going up. And then this is the roof. So they have it enclosed. They just do not have like the membrane and insulation and everything on the roof. So that area is moving along very well. And again, our goal is to have a tour for staff members and then the board before the end of the school year, once they actually have floors and you don't have to walk through mud and dirt. Moving forward, we are about to send the phase 3 out to bid. That will be the new wrestling room, the updated wrestling room, and the expanded weight room. And then the entire media center will be done, student success area, and then we will be adding some pumps to hopefully avoid having the Ox Gym flooding again. Programming updates. So I've been making the rounds of the district and presenting. So just kind of furthering our thinking as kind of go along based off of that. So again, what had changed from the bond was the early childhood legislation. We've been seeing an increase in enrollment at our elementary level, and then the universal free and reduced lunch. So one of our concerns is based on our preschool enrollment. We knew we were short already for our tuition-based program. So now with projections based off of where we could be, we would be more than 200% full for those programs. Elementary would be edging up. So looking at what room that we had available, pretty much the middle school. So as we had the community meeting, we talked about educational goals, operational goals that came through for strategic planning and when we initially designed the bond. So then in some of the feedback that we received since the bond about the size of the elementaries and making sure we have equitable educational programs for our students and looking at potentially what do we do with Lottie. And we had gone through different scenarios. And so basically where we're at since the community forum and getting feedback is basically this is the scenario now. So Lighthouse would remain the ECC. Lottie, there's a possibility, and this would depend on kind of where the state goes and how fast and what our numbers are basically for the early childhood programs when they expand those. So that could potentially stay open. When we get to the timeline, I'll kind of walk you through how we're structuring these in order to put the decisions when we have the most information so we can make the best decision for that. The largest change would be basically restructuring the middle school grade levels, and instead of having 2 6 through 8 buildings, one would be 5 through 6, the other would be 7 through 8. So the elementaries would be K4, and then again, McDonald, this building would reopen based off of demand for enrollment should that happen. So ultimately, if we make those adjustments, our preschool based off of, again, we're assuming that right now we're looking at about 240 students that signed up for the pay program. For next year, we would look at approximately 300 per age level. So based off of that, we'd be looking at roughly a 92% enrollment. Utilization, elementary would be about just around 78%. And then middle school, we could move up to about 90%. And I'll explain that as we kind of go through some of the plans that we have for the building. But overall, we'd be about 84% in order to, and it would give us room if we grow. We'd also still have solid utilization of buildings, even if we were to shrink it a little bit. One of the questions that we've been getting through the thing, through the visits is how many, is anybody else doing this? What other districts? So contacted the state and said, hey, is there any like information that you have on that? And so they were able to point me in the direction of a database that they publish that has like the different schools. So then just for districts that use like where 5th grade is not in a traditional elementary school, this is just a sampling of those. There's actually 191 schools that either where 5th grade is not in like a K5 building. So, and you can see a lot of them around East China, Clarkston, Novi, Grosse Pointe, they do 5 through 8 for middle school as well. I don't even think I have them on there, but this is just a sampling of the ones that do have this setup. So it's not uncommon across the state. And a lot of this, if you were to look, it's districts who are facing the same challenges that we have, where if you have a burgeoning elementary population, that's just the decision that they made. New Haven is actually planning to do the same thing as part of their bond that's up for re-election in May. They are actually opening another shuttered elementary school, and then they plan on moving their 5th grade to their middle school in order to just have the capacity to add the programs. So one of the questions that we've been getting is, okay, what would the schedule look like? How would that work? What's the transition? So the thought is that 5th grade is to build some kind of transition between elementary and middle school. So as you can see on the left, so 5th grade, we would block ELA and social studies. We would block math and science. So they would have one teacher for both of those. Then we would build in a recess into the lunch. And this is just one, there'd be 3 different lunches and they'd have to stagger, but this is just one example. Then they would have their specials. So they would have 4 teachers in 5th grade, and then 6th grade would look more like your standard 6th grade where you would have 6 separate teachers. Talking about specials. So what we've kind of been working through is how can we rotate this through? It's been interesting because there's been meeting at individual buildings with teachers and getting their feedback. It's been, they believe that 5th graders are capable of doing a lot more, and it's very tough if you do what we do now, where you have one special on Monday, another one on Tuesday and Wednesday. So can we build those into longer periods? So the plan would be to do them in 6-week periods. So you would have physical education for 6 weeks. You could have music for 6 weeks. You could have life skills because we would have that ability in that building, art and so on. You'd have those each of 6 weeks. And then because you have 2, we could just alternate those again. So now you would have phys ed twice a year for 6 weeks. You could have art twice a year for 6 weeks. So now they can get into more depth. They can do things. They can start building like the makerspace projects where they can't really do that in like a one day, when you see it once a week. And it makes it easier for teachers too, because now you're not seeing 800 kids. You're seeing a subsection of those. And then the other thing that we're working towards is we could potentially team these groups. So you could have basically for each grade, 1/3 of the teachers could be for A, 1 for B, 1 for C. And then that way, again, you're keeping kind of a small thing of just a handful of teachers that are dealing with a subsection of the kids to try and keep that smaller so they can kind of work with that. Now, if they wanted band, students could opt into, now we could do 5th grade band, and that would just take one of those lines out. So we would have to offer band either like twice for A, twice for B, twice for C. So they could, depending on the demand, and then they would still get all of the other specials, but then band would run the entire year as part of the other one. Just kind of going on for the construction parts. Let's see. Okay, so this was the original plan when we were just kind of throwing out, and this is based off of square footage, that we would go upper and lower L for Ashley. I keep trying to use my laser pointer, but it doesn't work on the screens. We'd do art and STEM areas. We'd add a media center. We'd do an office, and basically we'd end up with about 10 to 15 classrooms, depending on what we would need at that point. And so this is kind of a more refined approach to all of that. So, and what you can see, I know it's hard to read. So the light green would be considered light renovation. So basically it's paint, maybe some flooring, updated lights, things like that. Medium renovation is now we're getting in, we're doing a little bit more. So it could be, carpeting, things like that. And then heavy remodel is we're actually taking down walls. We're like gutting things and then kind of building it up. And then new construction obviously is it's from the ground up. We're doing foundations and all of that. So pretty much adheres to kind of what we're looking at, because again, our goal is to get that these classrooms are about 600 to 700 square feet, whereas our newer buildings, they're about 950 to 1,000 square feet. So in the upper left hand, that beige area, that will be heavy remodel. So those 6 classrooms would become 4 larger classrooms. And so basically we would take it all the way down, gut it, and then build it back up. So then you would have, that would be your upper L. So you'd have 4th grade at the end, then 3rd grade. The green area next to it, which is currently the office, that would be because we've added a lot of ancillary staff right now. And so social workers, psychologists, and so on, they would be housed there. It's also the staff lounge. So that would see, new paint, things like that, in order to kind of update that. And then the new construction on the front would then be the new offices, because we want to push those out. We want to have the libraries, again, because right now, a lot of things are held in the library, but they have to enter the school the entire way. So now we would have that more public facing, give people better views of, you can see who's entering the building before they're in the vestibule. So that would be there, and then it would go into the area behind it, the beige area behind it. And so all of the specials would be in those classrooms. So then you would have a STEM space, a science space, a larger art room, and so on. The beige area that's kind of almost surrounded by blue, the cafeteria, one of the challenges we have with the universal like lunch is we just need more capacity in order to make the volume of breakfast and lunch that we're doing. And so we would expand the kitchen in order to provide that. And then depending on how far we kind of go into that, we may need to use some of that space for additional like eating area, just basically in order to provide space for the students. Then moving through the blue area, those classrooms are already a good size. So you would have our special ed classrooms, then there would be 4 kindergarten classrooms, 2 young 5 classrooms. And then at the end in the new construction, we would add 8 classrooms instead of the previous like 10 to 15. And that would be the rest of your lower L. So that'd be 1st and 2nd grade on that. So again, it just kind of, you'd have an upper at what would be the north end, you'd have your lower at the south end. We'd divide, kind of stretch the parking lot, divide it so that you'd have an upper L drop off, a lower L drop off, and all of that, and kind of still fit it on the site. Moving on, again, looking at like Great Oaks, the initial plan for this was basically we were going to really work with the library. That was the main focus of it. As we're looking through now, we'd still do the light updates that we were doing. Due to the flood, we wouldn't have to do the floor or anything because that's brand new. We already, because of that too, we're redoing all the hallways. So then we would update the carpeting and paint in the other classrooms and so on. And then we would basically pull the office a little bit out in front and then have special spaces off of the library as well, again, for science and for STEM. And it's basically the same thing at McCants, because if you notice, Great Oaks has the addition on it. McCants would have the ability that we could do that, so we wouldn't have to do nearly as much. Naldret is another one that, again, we were planning to redo entirely anyhow. So you see a lot of it is beige because those are the areas that are going to be basically entirely gutted, and we'll make what are the small areas into larger areas. So the green that you see on the left-hand side, those are already classrooms that are fairly nice size, and it's also ancillary staff areas for our so they would be able to use that. But if for those of you that when you're at Naldret, the office is really buried. The number one thing that we get is people are like, I don't know where to go to the building. We had put that little awning on front just to direct people. But again, we would redo the facade, add a library, add the offices onto the front in order to now give it a focal point, let them see it, because in that building, you really have to go into the building in order for anybody to see you there. And then, so that would be added onto the front. Then down at the bottom, that, again, those would be turned into the lower L, because right behind it is the lower L playground. So then all of those would become 4 first grade classrooms, 4 second grade classrooms out of that series that's there. And then the beige area just center of that, the current library, we would make into the science and STEM spaces. What's now the staff lounge and workroom would be the art room, a much larger art room. And then the main office would become the staff lounge, and it would become the teacher workroom, because we wouldn't have to do a ton to that. Then music would stay in the same spot. So again, you have a lower L wing, you have your offices and your media centers kind of on the public facing side. all of your specials are in the middle, and then off to the right-hand side, that would become your upper L. So you would have special ed classes would be there, and then we would add on classrooms for your third and your fourth grade, extending it off the back. We would have to, if you look up behind where the offices would be, the challenge here is the kitchen is way too small and we need more serving lines. So where it is now that kind of curved area in the front and there's some storage rooms, that would be turned into, again, serving line space and in order to basically handle the level of meals that we have to provide. McDonald, again, this would be one if we decided to, like at the end, and I'll show you the timeline. This would be a decision for quite a ways down. If we wanted to, we could consider kind of doing the same thing. But again, it would be based off of where are we at that time. Lighthouse, again, this for the most part adheres to what we're doing. There's the beige area, which was always going to be, that was a newer addition. The problem is those do not have bathrooms in there. And so the original plan, and we would still keep the same plan, is we would add bathrooms to those, which basically we would have to add on to either side of that in order to expand it to have bathrooms in there, because so that we can comply with licensing. We have already redone the media center through a grant that we had from the state. We would basically in the center, our data centers in there as well. We would, all of that would just be kind of light updates. We would adapt the middle school program. That was originally the music room, I should say. That would be a potential indoor recess area for them because it's a nice large area. So that would probably get new carpeting and all of that. And then to the blue area to the right, that's closest to the playground, that's one of the newer wings as well. They already have bathrooms in there. So that would pretty much just, we might need, because that was part of the area that flooded. So we'd have to do some carpeting. We'd have to do some other things in order to kind of update that. Then to the left-hand side of that blue area, those were areas that we were considering leveling originally. And part of it is because the classrooms are small. They're, again, about 600, 640 square feet. And it was very tough to really to make them larger. With early childhood, when you have programs between 8 and 12 students for the younger kids and 16 to 20 for the older kids, those rooms would be sufficient size. So if we wanted to keep those in order to expand our early childhood program to adapt to that, that would probably be your best area. The kitchen's already one of the largest kitchens that we have. The cafeteria we've already redone as through part of a grant. The big question would be, what do you do with the gym? That was always in the original one plan. It was one of those things where, do we keep it, do we not keep it? It would really depend on, you have to get into that and kind of like look at it and see what the structure, if we need to do anything. So that would still kind of be up in the air. But the nice thing is, if we're planning on doing an intramural program, because this building used to be a high school, it has a full high school court in it, which would be nice to, if we can make use of that for after school programming and things like that. Lottie would be one where, just depending the odds, if everything goes off with 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds and so on, Lottie would be kind of like the overflow for early childhood if we get the demand that we have. But there's a chance we wouldn't need to do a lot to it in this. Again, very small classrooms, but with the small number of program, like the number of kids, you could do that. They do have bathrooms in the classrooms. Those are not, the greatest expense would be, those are not like ADA compliant. So you would have to do something. You'd have to do like changing areas as part of them and so on. So, but again, I'll show you the timeline. That's kind of, we would be able to, again, just kind of keep it for a later time and see where we're at as things go along. You wouldn't necessarily have to make the decision immediately. Middle school north under this plan, basically the blue areas would mostly stay where they're at. The sixth grade classrooms are already larger. The beige area at the top, those would become the fifth grade classrooms. That's the older area. Those are about 150 square feet smaller than the sixth grade classroom. So that top wing would become the fifth grade classroom all the way through. So we would basically take 4 classrooms, turn them into 3 classrooms. So that would be heavy duty where we're, again, taking out walls, consolidating things. That would give us enough classrooms to have all the fifth graders in that wing. Sixth graders at the bottom, we would redo, you can see the beige area in the middle, that would be the maker space. We would update the current labs for sixth grade as well. And then basically you would have fifth grade at the top section, sixth grade at the bottom, all the specials in the middle to be shared across both of those grades. And then the green box to the right, that's the main office area. So if you're trying to orient yourself, it would be just down from there is the bus garage. There's a field outside of there that would become not necessarily a playground area, but it would be some kind of activity area for the kids for recess. So it wouldn't necessarily have things they're climbing on, but it would have basketball courts, things like that. Middle school south was always meant to get like a tremendous amount of change, because as we're bringing the high school programs out, we'd be putting in feeder programs for a lot of the career classes that we're doing. So they wouldn't be doing auto shop, but we could do a small engine repair type thing. They wouldn't be running a restaurant, but we could do in a more of a culinary arts type program. So kind of sticking to what you've seen in other buildings, the office, which is set back, and the media center, which is the media center would potentially become new science like labs in this area. So they have, like, instead of just classrooms, they have actual like full functioning science labs. So the new construction area at the front would be a library and a new media center and the offices. So again, you have sight lines outside, you have your public area that's out front, and then we would redo a lot of those areas have been like kind of chopped up in the middle. That would become basically science labs or other areas based off collaboration spaces potentially. The big thing is now the band would be larger. So the small band room that we have, that's the beige area that's just surrounded by the green there. Those have built-in risers. So we wouldn't be able to fit the capacity. And this was always, we did put in the bond in order to kind of take that out. And it was going to be around 300,000, but we would be able to take part of the auto area and then we could make that, and we wouldn't have to, we could save money potentially on that. And then we could divide the auto area and let that be the band room. It's right next to the band lockers. It works with that. We already redid the maker space and the engineering area. So again, those would get some minor updates, but those would be the major things. And then the green areas, again, we'd have to look at, like, how do we adapt like the greenhouse and things like that, so that for middle school programming, but we'd run like some kind of intro to horticulture and things like that through there. So that's it on the building. Questions? Okay. Bond schedule. So the first one I'm going to show you, this is kind of all of it compressed on a year-long thing. It's kind of hard to think out that this will be through 2033, but so we'll break this up into kind of smaller areas. So this is basically on a seasonal thing. The main gist of the bond timeline will be, if you look at between 25 and 26, there's now this gap where we were going to start on the elementaries would kind of be pushed back a year. That would allow us to do the fifth grade wing at Middle School North, and then the goal would be to get the outdoor area done for students. South, the main thing would be to get just the band area done. We have more than enough room at South for that. We could reorient things. We do that, and then if there was anything else that we could kind of do along that. And then Lighthouse, if fifth grade is moved out, we could potentially work on one of those wings because we could consolidate into, there's kind of 3 areas in Lighthouse. We'd inhabit 2 of them. The third one would get work done on it just so that we would have capacity depending on where we're at with early childhood. Because right now, based off of what, and this is paid, this is not the non-tuition programs that the state is mentioning, we would basically fill this building, filled early childhood with programs, and then we could potentially need about 3. It depends on how they change the numbers, but we could potentially need 3 more classrooms elsewhere if we could find them. Then you see, so middle school configuration wouldn't be for this coming school year, it'd be for the school year after that. Then depending on how everything kind of shakes out, and a lot of this depends on population. At some point, and this was even with the old bond, we knew we would have to do some type of redistricting. So that would be basically fall of 2027. You'd look at, we have ways that we could minimize this or that we could alleviate that. Part of it could be just the flow of school choice kids and in-district choice kids, that we could do that in order to balance the buildings. And part of it is you just have to track birth rates and where kids like coming in at in each of the things. So there's always a natural like flow to that, but with it being a few years out, we just need more information on where kids are at exactly. So then you can see, so 25, then 2 years later you have 27, then you have McDonald, depending on where we're at with early childhood, or if Lighthouse, we would have enough work at Lighthouse that we can move the programs there. And then this is really depends on where does the state kind of come down with 3-year-olds at this point. And if they're moving on to that, then we know, okay, we can progress further. We'll have a better idea. So then McDonald and Lighthouse come into play and how much of those, and then ultimately, once we have most of the construction done at the buildings, Lottie, now it's time. We'll have a good solid idea of this is where we're at with preschool programs. So do we need Lottie? Does it become an early childhood center to handle the other capacity that we need, or do we not need it at that point? We would, I mean, basically by 2031, we'd have a good idea of that. And you'll notice that we revisit, like we go back to north, we go back to south, we go back to the high school, because we're picking up other parts that that we might do at that point. And part of it is we have to do a lot of concrete, we have to do parking lots, we have to do roofs on some of the areas of that wouldn't be touched. And then we'd finish up with the aquatic center. So new pump for the pool, filtration system, if there's roof work that needs to be done. Same thing with transportation. We expanded the fenced in area. That would now become all parking lot in there, and for service and all that. And then we would do any maintenance and updates that we have there. And so that basically would carry us to 2033 at that point. So we basically tried to stagger it so we have the ultimate flexibility depending on how the state goes, and how we know our enrollment would go. So it's making the decisions that we'd have to make now, and then putting those other ones off till we have the sufficient data to really say yay or nay on that. And as always, we share with people, we have a separate email for the bond program, and people can share thoughts, questions, concerns, or anything like that. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jankowski. Now we will move to a hearing of the public. Those who wish to address the board on agenda items must complete a brief request stating their name, address, and the subject of their comments. Remarks about specific employees should be directed to them personally and not included in the public forum. Administration will follow up with concerns within 48 hours of the board meeting. I have no requests. Is there anyone that did not fill out a request? Right here? Okay. you could please, if you come on up, if you could please state your name and address. Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else. Communications?
Only one communication you have before you. You should have an invitation to the Macomb County Make a Difference Awards. Our very own Ramona Kimmel is being honored. Unfortunately, it's on one of the presentation nights, so I cannot attend. So it would be great if anybody from the board could attend on our behalf. We'll have Frank Cosmano will also be attending. So just great news to share on her behalf because she's made a difference in the lives of our students.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are of a recurring nature and are voted on as a single item. Any board member may request an item be removed without a vote of the board, and it will be discussed and voted upon individually. The recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda, minutes, personnel report, financial reports, and bills payable. Do I have a motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and then one to support. We'll do the roll for this.
Mr. Moses? Yes. Mr. Richards is a yes. Ms. Berkmeyer
Yes.
and Ms. Knox.
Yes. Okay, we're going to go on to new business and policy first reading. The board was provided with policy updates. The policy committee met for policies or the following policies. Policy 1001, organization and functioning of the board, including reimbursement of expenses and indemnification. Policy 2003, educational records. Policy 2005, communication. Policy 4004, evaluations, discipline and discharge, resignations. Policy 4005, other matters of employment. Policy 6006, tobacco-free environment. Policy 8001, acceptable use. Policy 8002, Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504. The recommended action is that the Board of Education review the policy updates for a first reading. We do not need action tonight on this. All right. Going on to field trips. For the DECA Nationals that we had the students here tonight. DECA will have 6 students and 2 adult chaperones, Jacob Yono and Jamie Petron, traveling to Anaheim, California, May 26th through June 1st for the DECA Nationals. They will be flying Delta Airlines. The recommended action is that the Board of Education approves 6 students and 2 chaperones to fly to Anaheim, California on May 26th through June 1st for the DECA Nationals. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
You doing all in favor? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Moving on, we have a field trip for BPA. BPA will travel to Chicago, Palmer House Hotel, May 10th through May 14th with 1 student and 2 adult chaperones. These are James Wagner and Kristen Anderson. They will be flying Delta Airlines per the request of the board last year. When only 1 student is attending, the board request is to have 2 adults attend. The recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the BPA field trip to Chicago, staying at the Palmer House Hotel, May 10th through 14th, with 1 student and 2 chaperones flying Delta Airlines. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an award recommendation for the middle school PLTW Lab PC Refresh. PLTW is Project Lead the Way. Anchor Bay School District requested bids to purchase 75 computer workstations to replace the middle school's PLTW CAD/Makerspace PC. This will replace our current PCs that were installed in 2018. Tim Sizemore, Technology Supervisor, has reviewed the bids. Attached is the bid tabulation sheet for the new computer workstations. The recommendation is to award the computer workstation purchase to SEHI, SEHI, in the amount of $108,150. The recommended action is that the board approve the award recommendation to C-High for the computer workstations. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's what I would do for the amount. I do roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, we're going to do a roll call on that one. Roll call, please.
Motion by Mr. Richards. Yes.
Second by Mr. Moses.
Second by Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer,
Yes.
and Ms. Knox.
Yes. Right, we have another award recommendation for an animatage table. The Anchor Bay received an equipment grant to go towards the cost of this equipment. Our grant is $105,000, $105,290. Our recommendation is to go with the Animatage table quote for $105,490. The Animatage table is the only fully segmented, real, accurate human 3D anatomy platform. Some area schools that use Animatage are Utica, OCC, MCC, Lake Orion, Walled Lake, Keller, Kent, Livonia, Brighton, and Howell. Their warranty is superior to the other brands. They also provide tech support beyond the initial setup. They do not charge a fee per year for maintenance. And then we have American 3B Scientific quote. Schools do not use this because there is no tech support beyond the initial setup. Does not perform as well, no software updates, not advanced, and a $5,000 a year maintenance fee. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the award to Animatage Table for $105,490 as presented. We will do, take a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
Okay, can we do the roll call, Mr. Richards?
Sure. Motion by Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer,
Yes.
Ms. Knox,
Yes.
Mr. Richards is a yes.
Next award recommendation is for the high school stadium bleacher planks. Anchor Bay received bids on April 5th of 2024. Corey Wiley, the maintenance supervisor, has reviewed the bids. The board has been provided with the bid tabulation sheet. The low bid provided by Valerian did not include the additional support brackets as required in the bid. It is the recommendation to award the bid to the second low bidder, Southern Bleacher Company. The purchase of the bleacher planks will replace the bleacher planks removed from the student section of the stadium and provide additional support brackets to provide more stability. Project completion is estimated by mid-September 2024. The project is being funded by bond funds. Recommended action is that the board award the high school stadium bleacher planks to Southern Bleacher Company in the amount of $45,850. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Discussion, do we really want to tear apart the bleachers in the middle of football season? Especially the student section.
Do
Oh, we need a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'll support.
Okay, go ahead.
Do we really-
Discussion?
Do we really want to, I mean, timeline wise, the only thing I'm concerned about.
It's really the only opportunity when the weather would be, we're either tearing, our hope is to have it in before
Okay.
then, but they'll get everything in. It's getting the brackets that would be, there's like 300 of them that they would have to put in place.
It does look like they're aiming for completion
Yeah.
by mid-September. And I think, I don't know what year, if we have more away games or more home games this year.
Not sure. I just know usually they have a game in August right before school
No,
starts.
I know.
But if anyone's been to football game and seen the student section, which is that's what I'm assuming is this portion of the bleachers. Yeah, the students go hard on the bleachers
But the
and
construction's only gonna be primarily in that student section, right?
Yeah, it's only gonna be that end, and we didn't want to do it when we were having commencements and we needed to do that, so then it was, okay, when can you find it? So that's basically it, it'd start June and then try and
Right.
get it done by then.
so that's only a small section. We still have
Yeah.
that other side.
Yeah. Yeah, we might just have to condense people down as best we can or whatever, I mean, it's just, yeah, there's,
Before there's a
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, can you take the roll, Mr. Richards?
Sure. Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Richards is a yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, our next award recommendation is a temperature control upgrade at McDonald's. We received the bid on April 5th. Once again, the maintenance supervisor, Corey Wiley, reviewed the McDonald Elementary temperature control upgrade bids. Currently, the classroom areas, which will be used by students and staff during the 24-25 school year, are being controlled manually as the current control system has failed. It is the recommendation to award the McDonald temperature control upgrade to Metro Controls in the amount of $100,804. Metro Controls has provided Anchor-based schools with several similar projects meeting, if not exceeding, district expectations. This project is being funded by board funds.
Be bond
I think it meant to say bond funds. The recommended action is that the Board of Education award Metro Controls the temperature control upgrade in the amount of $100,804. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Please call the roll.
All right, motion, Ms. Bergmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Richards is a yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes. All right, moving on to, I believe, our final award recommendation for a camera bid. In review of bids, the following due diligence was performed. A, reviewed bids for compliance with specifications and contract provisions. B, created comparison of details for each bidder's response to verify quantities and compare unit costs and labor assumptions. C, conducted post-bid interview, requested and received bid clarifications from bidders April 18th through 19th. D, the review team, which included Tim Sizemore and Amanda DePape, conducted independent equipment reviews using manufacturer websites and other resources. E, contacted reference accounts to inquire about experience, workmanship, warranty compliance, and overall satisfaction. F, reviewed mandatory and voluntary alternates from bidders of interest, determined that 5-year warranty alternate was attractive and recommended for acceptance. And G, observed the necessity for and adjusted the award bid to total to include a 10% contingency to allow for placement of cameras with enhanced capabilities in locations selected by the district as they deem necessary. Contingency amount shall total $59,910.65 to be reflected as part of the total amount listed in the board recommendation. The recommended action is that the board approve contracts with Amcom Telecommunications of Brighton, Michigan, and Delta Network Services of Bloomfield Township, Michigan, in the amount of $659,017.13, which includes the mandatory warranty alternate for district security renovations and a 10% contingency. Do I have a motion?
I will make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, now we can have some discussion. I do believe we have a representative here. If you could just give us a little overview of what we're getting for this amount. Thank you. And if you could please introduce yourself. I don't have your name in front of me.
Absolutely. I'm Carl Vanderzee with Communications by Design. I am the district's technology consultant or a representative from the technology consulting firm that you guys have secured to help you with these projects. Amanda and I worked with all of the building principals over the last several months to identify locations where these surveillance cameras would be mounted and placed across the entire district in all buildings to make sure that we have video and are recording video in areas that are important for safety and security across the district. The project includes over 300 cameras that would be installed across the district in all the buildings. And all of the servers and the storage systems that would maintain and hold all those images. We had fantastic participation in the bid process. As you can see from the bid tabulation, we had 10 different independent bidders that were all interested in working with Anchor Bay schools for this particular project. Three of those bids were extremely competitive with very similar products and very similar configurations. And so the team spent a lot of time looking at the details, digging into individual and very specific parts and pieces to be able to make a final recommendation of selection, which they felt was the best value for Anchor Bay schools. So it's an exciting project. It's a big step forward for the district in terms of video surveillance and safety and security improvements.
All right, thank you for that overview.
Do you work with any other school districts currently or in the past with this type of system?
Oh, yes, yeah, dozens around the state, absolutely, yep.
We can go ahead. We had a motion to approve, so if we can go ahead and call the roll, Mr. Richards?
Sure. Ms. Berkmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Richards is a yes. Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, thank you. Up next, we have the Sugar Bush Resolution. This resolution formalizes the board's earlier decision on October 18th of 2023 to sell Sugar Bush Elementary to Chesterfield Township. I will read the attached resolution. Bear with me. Whereas the district has investigated the sale of a portion of its real property, commonly known as Sugar Bush Elementary School, to Chesterfield Charter Township, the purchaser, which property is located at 47800 Sugar Bush Road within the Charter Township of Chesterfield, Macomb County, Michigan, the property, and is more fully described in the contract for the purchase and sale of real property attached hereto and made a part hereof as attachment 1, the purchase/sale contract. And whereas the property is no longer necessary for school district purposes, and it would be in the best interest of the district to sell the property to the purchaser, and whereas the board has determined that it would be in the best interest of the district to waive any applicable board policies and/or bylaws, if any, related to the sale of real property and sell the property to the purchaser. And whereas the board desires to authorize and direct Philip Jankowski, the superintendent of schools of the district, or his designee to execute the purchase/sale contract based upon the terms and conditions contained in the purchase/sale contract, to make any revisions to the purchase/sale contract not inconsistent with this resolution, and to take any other action necessary to sell the property to the purchaser, all of which shall be subject to review and approved by the district's legal counsel. Now, therefore, be it resolved that, 1, the board hereby waives any applicable board policies and/or bylaws, if any, related to the district's sale of real property and authorizes the sale of the property to the purchaser. 2, the board authorizes and directs Philip Jankowski, the superintendent of schools of the district or his designee, to execute the purchase/sale contract based upon the terms and conditions contained in the purchase/sale contract, to make any revisions to the purchase/sale contract not inconsistent with this resolution, and to take any other action necessary to sell the property to the purchaser, all of which shall be subject to review and approval by the district's legal counsel. 3, all resolutions and all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same are hereby rescinded. What is that? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Pardon?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll
Yep.
second.
all right, we have a motion to approve. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay,
sorry.
motion to
Oh,
approve,
sorry.
and we have a second. Do we have any discussion? No, I mean, as the resolution states, we discussed this back in October of 2023. So I think we are all pretty up to date on it. Mr. Richards, if you can go ahead and call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Richards, yes. Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Berkmeyer,
Yes.
and Ms. Knox.
Yes.
Long time.
Okay,
For sure.
now we are moved on to volunteer appeals. As part of our recent policy updated, we instituted an appeal process for those parents who wish to volunteer or accompany students on field trips. Current practice is to hold parents to the same restrictions the state places on district employees. The appeal process will allow each parent to speak about their appeal for 5 minutes, and then the board will vote on the appeal. Tonight, we have 2 parents who wish to make appeals. And we have a recommended action for both, but they will be voted on separately.
It's a flip-flop.
This is
That's
parent
parent
B
A.
is first,
That's parent.
just so you know.
Okay, so first we are up with parent B.
Okay.
Okay, so this is parent B, and we will vote on these separately.
No, it's not time.
Oh, it's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And to be clear with our reduced attendance tonight, that in order for a motion to pass, we need a unanimous vote. And Mr. Moses is going to set the 5-minute timer when it beeps. Just kind of wrap it up if you need to. Okay? Please go.
Well, I'm here because I went to volunteer. I wanted to volunteer for my daughter's field trip. They're in kindergarten. I missed their first one because of something that came up on my record. It was a domestic violence. It happened 15 years ago. I was 17. I'm 32 now. And I've been out of 2 different school districts, Chippewa Valley and Marysville School District. I've been to all my other children's field trips. My oldest is 14 years old, and I've been to every single one of hers. And it's just upsetting that I wasn't able, to make it to my 2 daughters' first field trip, but this is their last field trip of kindergarten for the end of the year and stuff. And I was hoping to make it for them. So I'm not sure. I didn't have any other problems with both of the school districts that my kids went to. I didn't have any, complications, any problems or issues with them attending to any of the field trips. So I'm hoping I can make it to this one for my kids' field trips and more, because I do have 3 of my children are in elementary school right now, and I know they're going to be having more and more and more. And I've been to every single one of my 3 other kids' field trips. So I just don't want to miss out on theirs.
Okay, thank you. Do we want to do a vote after each or at the end? Vote after each? Okay. Okay.
Does anyone have any
um,
questions?
Pardon? Yeah, do we have any questions?
Could I also state one more thing? I'm sorry.
No,
That
absolutely.
domestic violence, it was against my ex-boyfriend who was abusive to me. So it was kind of more of a self-defense. We both got the charge. So that's what the whole domestic violence charge was for.
I don't know where the state is exactly at going through those, if it was expungement. So again, if it comes up, then it hasn't been expunged, so. But yeah.
I'm sorry, you said it was 15 years ago, correct? Is that?
Yeah, 15 years ago. I tried calling I didn't know if you guys needed any court papers. So I called the court and I'm like, hey, can I get my court paper file and whatnot? And they said they didn't even have it. They said it was in the basement. It could take up to a couple weeks for them to dig out my file.
Okay. We have no other questions. So I can take a motion to either approve or not approve, and this is for parent B.
So I would make a motion to approve her appeal, so that she can attend, district field trips.
I'll second it.
We have a second.
All right.
Do we have any further discussion?
Ms. Jankowski, once we approve this, they have to do it each year if they want to volunteer again, or is this just? a-
Yeah, well, we do not for this issue, but we run new backgrounds just in case anything new comes up.
Okay,
Okay, so she will not have to do
No,
this
not-
again.
not- But if anybody has another issue that comes up within that time period, then obviously they have to.
Sure.
all right.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve parent B, approve parent B's appeal. Mr. Richards, if you could call the roll, please, and I do want to remind you, we need to have a unanimous vote.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to remind you, we do need a unanimous vote for this.
Ms. Burkmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Moses,
Yes.
Ms. Knox,
Yes,
Mr. Richards, yes.
your appeal has been approved.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we have our second parent, parent A.
You guys hear me now? Good evening. I'm Malcolm Parrish Jr. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good, we're just setting 5 minutes. Sorry. Thank you. Please continue.
My name is Malcolm Parrish Jr. I'm here to appeal to be a chaperone for, I have my own son that attends McCants and two of my stepkids attend McCants. And I wanted to try to make it to their field trips because they have a lot of schooling to go through still. I know I made my mistakes in the past, made my wrongs. Once I had my son, I've tried to change. I opened my own business. I'm a business owner, Malcolm's Paint Company. I live pretty much right next door to here. I'm trying to do everything I can with these kids. Go out every day. We go do stuff every day. I'd hate to have my past cause problems with them that I don't get to go on nothing with them. It's just always gonna be mom or nobody with them on stuff. And I'd greatly appreciate it to be able to attend my children's different activities, not just here, anything they have to do. I'd be really appreciated to hear your guys' side and what you guys believe. So.
Do we have any questions for parent B?
Hey,
Hey,
A.
parent A.
I'm sorry, parent A.
Can you tell me what grade your son and stepchildren are in?
what?
What grades? What's,
Cashton and Bethany. Cashton's my son. He's in kindergarten at McCants. Bethany, she's in kindergarten at McCants. And Carter's in third grade at McCants. Then I have a youngest, Bentley. He'll be going there next in the next 2 years.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I would like to take a motion to approve or not approve the appeal for parent A.
I'll make a motion to not approve parent A.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion not to approve the appeal for parent A. Do we have any discussion? Okay. I do have some thoughts about it. Parent A, there's just been, my concern is that there has been recurring, looking at your iChat here, all the way up till 2021. So my concern is that this is recurrent behavior that is prohibiting you from volunteering at this time. That would be my main concern. Is there any other discussion, or shall we vote? Okay, so we have the motion to not approve the appeal for parent A. Mr. Richards, if you could please take the roll, and I do need to remind you that the vote must be unanimous.
The vote is to not approve volunteer appeal A, and Mr. Richards is a yes.
Yes.
Mr. Moses, thank you. Ms. Berkmeyer
Yes.
and Ms. Knox.
Yes, your appeal has not been approved.
Thank you.
Okay, and move on to section 3 here. We have points of pride. I would like to start with Ms. Berkmeyer.
So I had the opportunity to go to the ISD last week for the operating budget meeting. And it's always just kind of eye-opening when you hear other districts and other schools in general, school districts talking, and it makes me always very proud of Anchor Bay and where we're at and like the direction we're heading and where we've come from, both as a board, but also just the district as a whole, and kind of just moving forward and positive growth in all directions. So that was kind of just my own reminder recently.
Mr. Richards?
Can I blend in my board comments as well?
Yeah, go for it. Oh, wait, no, how many pages you got?
I apologize up front. It is kind of long. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to get together, have a little party like tonight. Congratulations to Anchor Bay Middle School North March Captain of the Month, Sharon Ramsey. Sharon is a wonderful teaching partner. She goes out of her time, or goes out. Jeez, can't remember writing here. She puts in a lot of time and effort into the sneaker fundraiser. They had set a goal of 2,500 shoes, and they made that goal. Superintendent Jankowski continues his tour to give presentations around the school district. April 25th, he'll be at Lottie. The 30th, he'll be at McCants. May 2nd, Lighthouse. May 9th at Meldrit. The 14th at Great Oaks. And his final presentation at North on May 16th. All presentations start at 6 p.m. I'd like to thank all the students and staff that helped make the Shoreliner International Buffet a success. There wasn't an empty seat for the Mexican, Greek, or Chinese food buffet. The food is fantastic. The Anchor Bay High School Credit Recovery Registration deadline is April 26th. If interested, please contact Jamie Petron. Middle School Band Camp is August 12th to the 22nd at Middle School North. To sign up, please contact Mr. Fenton. Congratulations to Middle School North students and staff that volunteered and donated 3,575 pairs of shoes. Great job, and thank you for everyone that helped. Anchor Bay Middle School North and South combined wrestling team won the 2024 championship at the Van Dyke Tournament. Congratulations. Anchor Bay Summer Basketball Camp is June 24th through the 27th at the high school. This is for children ages 7 to 14. For any questions, you can email Coach Selesky. Congratulations to Anchor Bay varsity basketball coach Jen Titi for being selected MAC White Coach of the Year, and Julia Tarkaz and Gabby Titi for being selected All-League. More importantly, 10 of 12 players made the All-MAC academic team requiring a 3.5 GPA or higher. Awesome job. Enrollment for next year is happening now for School of Choice. Open enrollment is February 15th, 2024 through August 30th. Congratulations to Middle School North Captain of the Month, Rich Warren. Mr. Warren does a great job teaching 8th grade math and builds good relationships with students, staff, and parents. Technology Summer Camp is June 17th to the 21st at Middle School South from 8 to 4 p.m. This is for girls 5th through 8th grade. Congratulations to Anchor Bay School Jazz student musicians. The Red and White Jazz Ensemble combo both received straight Division I ratings. With 15 possible letter grades, the Jazz Ensemble received all A's and several A+. Congratulations. Congratulations to Anchor Bay North Student of the Month for March. 6th grade Elena Monahan, 7th grade Ben Schuing, and 8th grade Tyler Zarlinski. Also, congratulations to Student of the Month for this month. 6th grade Lillian Mack, 7th grade Kayla King, 8th grade Dylan Brunette. The Relay for Life Taco Thursday is tomorrow at the VFW on 23 Mile from 6 to 8 p.m. $10 donation at the door. I'd like to recognize all Anchor Bay school bus drivers. Yesterday was National Bus Driver Day. Thank you for everything that you do. Breakfast at the high school will now have new hours effective this week. They are 6:45 to 7:15. Speaking about breakfast, Anchor Bay Food Services also has a permanent part-time position open. If you're interested in more details or other positions are available on our district website. Points of Pride this month will be tonight with our HOSA club. Congratulations to all of our hosts. Sorry. Congratulations to our DECA. Hold on. Yes, congratulations to our DECA club on their outstanding performance. We look forward to what they have to do in Texas. That's all I have.
Oh, that's what we have to start doing. Mr. Moses?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the DECA. It's a job well done. It's incredible. And this is your last meeting, and thank you for everything that you've brought to the table. And we really appreciated you being here. You just did a great job.
Okay, my points of pride, building on what Ms. Burkmeyer said, she had gone to a meeting. I went to the Macomb County School Board Association leadership meeting last night. And all you hear is great things about Anchor Bay. And they're like, oh, you guys have a really awesome district. Things are really going on over there. Everything's so involved. So we're hearing that from other districts, which is great because bad news travels fast. So good news is always welcome. My point of pride today, which is actually before I realized it was administrative professionals today, I was thinking about it this morning. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Jankowski keeps all of us updated on everything that's going on at the schools all the time. And a lot of it is comes down to our office staff. They're dealing with illnesses, with parents, with disciplinary, when they're sent to the principal's office. So really the office is the hub and our office staff is tremendous. They do so much. They're kind of the heart of the school. It's where everyone goes for everything. So I want to recognize them and our own board administrative assistant, Sherry DiCristofaro. She's always amazing for us. And so that's a huge point of pride is that it's not just our teaching staff. It's not just our bus drivers. It's everyone and the office staff is really great. And as far as comments go, thank you, Ms. Yarrow, for joining us this year. She's been a trooper, staying for the entire meeting unless she had homework, often through things that we might find a little dull. And so I really appreciate your dedication and being here for, I'm pretty sure, every meeting. I think maybe you were gone for one, and you had a commitment. And so we really appreciate you showing up and giving your best to our district. And we wish you all the best and good luck at graduation and with all of your future endeavors. Yes, in our one commencement ceremony. The students spoke, we had to listen. All right, and so last thing is board committee updates. Do we have any other than Ms. Burkmeyer?
We had finance committee and then we had policy committee.
Okay, do we have anyone?
So I was on policy, oh, you want to talk?
Okay, Ms. Burkmeyer is going to talk about policy committee.
I was in policy committee meeting, but it was basically just going over all of the first reading items that were here tonight and that will likely be voted on at the next meeting. So nothing really, most policy changes come from things that happen usually in other districts around the state. So, and just kind of legal updates for us. So nothing super contentious or anything for us.
Mr. Richards, you're on finance, right?
Yeah, finance, we talked a lot about the bond. Seems to be a common subject. Mr. Jankowski went over a lot of things tonight. We also talked about the new Michigan law where the kindergarten classes and things like that, and how that's going to affect our districts. But for the most part, a lot of the finance is around the bond right now.
And then I do have a quick legislative update, believe it or not.
Oh, we don't even have that. Oh, yeah, we do. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just, well, let me second type. Go ahead.
Yeah, believe it or not, they're in session and they're actually moving some things along. So mandatory kindergarten is one that there is now progressed through. I believe it only has the House has to approve it. Believe it or not, most people don't realize this kindergarten is optional. And so this would make it mandatory for the state. They're anticipating 4,500 kids statewide would be added to schools. I do not see a major impact for us. We might pick up a few students from that. Most of our students end up going to kindergarten anyhow. Senate finally put their budget recommendation out. It has not been passed through the entire Senate, just it got out of committee, which these days is amazing. Took a little bit different approach than the governor. They put more into per pupil increase of $300 compared to the governor's 241. They are proposing to expand the preschool thing. It's not what was before. They're accelerating it, but it's not universal for 4-year-olds. So it's kind of, I would say, just shy of halfway between those two. They are also suggesting to take money out of the pension system from the healthcare side in order to fund the greater increase and all of that. More worrisome from a district standpoint is they're also looking to take, what they do is they pay down the other part of it in order to keep the percentage down on that portion of it. And they want to decrease that, which would make those costs to districts go up. They do not have a ton of details on where that would go. So that's less go to the full Senate. The House finally has their special election, so it's not deadlocked. So there is one party control again. So the House has to get their budget out pretty soon because the consensus revenue estimating conference is coming up in May. I believe it's May 17th. So what you're going to see is a lot of action over the next like 9 weeks because it's an election year in Michigan. So all the House members are up. So by July 4th, typically they want to get out of town so that people can go campaigning. So now they have to get all of this set and get the budget out, hopefully before July 1st. I do not anticipate us having the budget before the board legally has to pass the budget for next year. So we're probably going to be in the same boat. The other piece of legislation that's moving is to mandate every building would have to have a certified media center specialist or librarian. The concern is this would add about 1,700 positions across the state. There is only one program in the state that has a certification program. Their maximum is 20 per year. This year they're graduating 2. So obviously that's a concern of if you mandate it, where would we go and define those people? So that is the legislative update.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I think
I'm
we are
gonna-
all,
What? Can I give you my update?
oh,
for
I'm
me?
sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From the ISD meeting, they just kind of give an overview of what's going on with the ISD and where their money is going. I just took a few notes. They went over their various areas that they support academic programs throughout the county and help put together more or less what you would probably consider like extracurricular type programs and to kind of help get them off the ground and coordinate among districts. One that caught my attention was underwater robotics that they are running and some districts are participating in. So I know we do have our own pool. That's something we could explore. They're also they also run and talked about the Grow Your Own program they do with the educators. And if you're not aware, these are fully paid grants that they take a cohort of students and push, put them through to become teachers. And they basically will guarantee that they get a job, hopefully in the district that they are coming from. But if for some reason, like there's no jobs in their area or there's certification in their district, you know, that they will try to get, they will work to get you, you know, placed within the county as well. So these are things that can be applied for. I want to say there's around 25 or 30 students like in the first group, and they're going to keep going with it. And they're also going to open up another one for paraprofessionals. So you can become a trained paraprofessional, and they're going to also help place them into positions and kind of do a grow your own program to help fill the job needs in all the districts in the county. On the special education front, they are replacing the Bovention building, if you're not aware. And they're building a new ISD building. It's in Sterling Heights. It's really, if you're familiar, it's south of 15 Mile, east of Van Dyke. So basically across from Carlton Middle School in Warren. Consolidated, and that's going to have about 24 classrooms, sensory rooms, various rooms for different therapies, gross motor rooms, a pool. So replacing the older building that needed replacement. They're going to expand the Glenn Peters building, and then they also have plans for 4 new autism and CI middle school classrooms throughout the county, as well as 4 autism and CI classrooms for high school level classrooms that will get placed throughout the county as over the next few years. And those things are coming across from that special education millage largely that was passed a few years ago. They've upgraded their technology. They support a lot of the county in the technology needs, and they've just did a large expansion of their servers. So for reference, it costs the county about 4.5 cents per month per student in Macomb County per year. That makes any sense. They're also running what I thought was interesting, a 2-year cohort to train digital educators as well. It sounds like it's a pretty comprehensive, intensive program, but they're doing that to keep up with technology for teachers. The finance end, ironically, was kind of small, but of note, you know, the ISD, when you stop and think about it, they do not get per pupil funding like the school districts do, and they don't have operating millages to fund them either. So they are basically getting a portion from property tax, but it's not at like a per pupil basis. And then occasionally, you know, like districts back pay them for various services and things. So to put in some perspective, they showed a graph. They are still recovering financially from when the property taxes took a massive dip in 2009 and 2010. And so when you look at a graph, their funding is still not where it was in 2000, even in 2003, from that major of a dip. And then the other thing that kind of like Phil had mentioned, something that they're advocating for and really trying to get everybody out, talking to your state reps and during budget season, is about this. They have an overage at the state level in the state employee health care fund. And so there's some difference of opinion in what should be done with this overage of money. It's about $700 million. And so our ISD is advocating for that money to just be returned directly to the districts and offset, you know, some of our costs. But there is a state rep from Dearborn who wants to take that money and put it towards new programs. And so they are actively trying to prevent that and give that money back to us to decide, for each district to decide where they want, where they could best use it. But that is something that, we'd be waiting to find out, what the plan would be. So talk to your legislatures, reps, and let them know your opinion. Personally, I would rather see that money come back to us, and what Anchor Bay would best do with it might not be what somebody else would find the best to do. So, and we know that when we talk about new programs, they don't always affect different areas of the state, let alone, in the counties or different districts, the same. So, I think it would be worth contacting our representatives about. So those are just some of the kind of overview notes, the takeaways that I got. It was interesting though. It was it was good to see like where things are headed at the ISD level. And I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, so Ms. Burkmeyer's going again
Okay.
next year. Easy. Okay, are we done now? We are done now. Mr. Green will be back next time. And so we will adjourn our motion to adjourn, at 8:40.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.